Welcome. In this tutorial we're going to show you how to use the liquify filter. Now the liquify filter is a great filter for reconstructing the face, bad teeth, nose, eyebrows, hair. Liquify filter provides numerous ways of fixing things that need to be fixed. Now we have this picture of this beautiful girl, and unfortunately the way that I took the picture and the angle makes her face fatter than it actually is. So to correct that, there are many different ways of correcting it, but one such way would be the liquify filter. So we would go under filter, liquify, and then you'll see the liquify dialog box open up. Here we have some tools. We have forward warp, reconstruct tool, twirl, pucker, bloat, push left, mirror, turbulence, and then mask, hand, and the zoom tool. And on your right hand side you can save the mesh, because once you click OK and all the work that you've done, that's it. So if you want to open it back up into liquify filter, guess what? You're starting from fresh again. So each time you work in a liquify filter, make sure you save the mesh. This is the brush size, the size of your brush. This is the edge strength, brush density, and this is the distortion. So if you want a heavy amount of distortion, you're going to go higher, and then less. Let me talk about some other things here real quick. This is show image. You click on it. Of course, you don't show the image. You can see the mesh by clicking here, and you see the mesh that's here. It's pretty faint, but you can see the mesh. You can choose the size. Do you want medium, small, or large? And what color do you want the mesh? Do you really want to see the mesh? It's up to you. You can show the mask, which I'll show you here in a second, and you can choose a color. I've chosen red. And then you can choose the backdrop, and we'll show you that in just a second. I'm going to turn off the mesh. Let's say for a second one of the first things we wanted to do was to take our eyebrows and make them smaller. We don't need to. They're perfect. But let's say that we wanted to. Well, the first thing we can do is we might want to freeze the eyes, because we don't want the eyes to be messed with if we're going to mess with the eyebrows, right? So we come over to this tool called the freeze tool, and you paint over the eyes, maybe over the nose too. Okay? This will prevent this area from being messed up. Now I can go over here to the forward warp tool, and usually anything that you want to do a perpendicular. So if I want the eyebrows to be skinnier, I'm going to go at a perpendicular motion and just slowly but surely move the eyebrows down. Alright, and then I'll go over here and do the same. Alright, now if you want to see the mask, you can by checking here. Click here and you don't see it, so you can see it before and after. If you wanted to get rid of the mask, this is where this tool comes in. It's called the thaw mask. Just basically paint over it and your mask is gone. Now you're probably saying, but I don't see the difference. Go over here to show backdrop, click on it, and you'll see the before and after. See how subtle it is? Very subtle. So you can have a lot of fun with this liquify filter. You can use the pucker tool. So if you want to make the nose smaller, let me make the brush pressure or the density a little bit more. Okay. Okay, let's see the before and after. Oops. You got to be careful. Unfortunately, I had to show backdrop on, so I couldn't see what I was doing, so I made a little boo-boo, which I overdone it. But that's okay, because we have a button over here called Restore All. Or you can press Control Z to undo step by step. Alright, so now let me select a bigger brush by pressing the right bracket key. And usually a bigger brush provides softer transitions. See? Okay, and maybe we wanted her eye to be a little bit smaller. You can see where when you use the pucker tool you got to be careful. So you have to go Control Z and maybe click on a different spot. There you go. 1, 2, 3, and maybe 1, 2, 3, and maybe, oops, Control Z, maybe I want it right there. Okay, then we can click on the backdrop and see it before, after, subtle. Of course the eye here is messed up. And then we have the twirl function, which we can come in here and have fun, and we can twirl her nose to the right. Okay, and I believe if you press Alt, you can twirl it the other way. Yeah. Now this is great for putting knots in the woods. So if you want to create a wood texture in Photoshop. And this is the bloat tool. And if you do this, it blows things up, as you can see here. So you can have a lot of fun. Now, the problem is that this image is very big. So any type of reconstruction you do can take a lot of processing power. So there's a way around it. So we're going to click cancel. We're going to go to image, size, and reduce it to 1000. Okay. This is going to take it from 36 to 517. Click OK. Go back into the liquify filter. Okay. Now, and do the same thing. If I wanted to reduce her face on the side, then I can use a lower brush density. Select the forward warp. Okay. And then I would just go perpendicular slowly and follow the contours of her face. And see if I can push her in her cheek a little. It gets tricky, trust me. Probably I would do a smaller brush. And let's say that I liked it. I would save the mesh at this point, but I've already saved one ahead of time. Okay, but let's say we saved the mesh. Let's say we like this, but we don't. But let's say we did. We would save the mesh. Okay, and name it. And what happened is that you saved the mesh in a lower dimension of the image, right? Okay, then click cancel. Do not click OK. Go back up to edit, step backwards to bring it back to the original image size. Then go to filter, liquify. This is now the original image. Load that mesh that you just saved in the lower image. Let me show you here. I'm trying to move this out of the way so you can see it. Click open and watch what happens. See? Let me show you the backdrop. Before, after, before, after. The mesh will apply the same work that you did to the same image as to an image that's a half. It's just a mathematical adjustment, I guess you would say. So you can always reduce the image, apply the same mesh, and the same mesh will work on the original size of the image. Click OK. And of course, I would have done this to a duplication of the layer, so just in case I didn't like it, I can always go back to the original layer. You could right-click and choose Convert to a Smart Object, and then use the filter. Oh, you can't use a liquify on a smart filter, see? So that can be a problem. So make sure that you do a duplicate of the layer, work on the duplicate, and that way you keep the original maintained, or have a duplicate file open and call it working or editing of that sorts.